Please welcome to the stage, Ryan Binkley.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, fellow patriots. Our nation is standing at the most critical crossroads of our lifetime. This election, this November, will be an inflection point that will determine the destiny of our country for decades to come. Now, we've always had really two choices or two philosophies with any single presidential election. Usually there's two visions, but in this election, it's a striking difference and different than it's ever been before. We used to argue about, how big's the budget gonna be, or are we ever gonna balance the budget, or how big's the military gonna be? It's not that anymore. We're actually debating now whether we're gonna ever have a budget at all. We're debating whether we're gonna secure our border or whether we're actually gonna put the American worker first, and it's time for these kind of debates to stop because we need to elect President Donald J. Trump to end this argument once and for all. America is struggling. So many young people are fighting, and I want to speak to young people today because this election will shape the future of our country for the next generation. But there's hope here, and here's the big hope. With these two pathways and choices we have this bright shining lamp saying, hey, go this way, young people, because this is for the next generation, to wisdom, to truth, and freedom. And that light post is being held by our hero, our champion, the 45th and soon to be 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. And he is fighting for the next generation. If I can speak for a few minutes to Gen Z and younger millennials, you have been really lied to and misled. I would say this, a barnstorm of misinformation by a biased media, by your universities, and by this current Biden-Harris administration that has really lied about President Trump, our party, and what we really stand for, and it has to stop. And really the big lie that I've seen across America is this: they are trying to tell you that you can have socialism and the American dream at the same time, and I'm telling you, it cannot happen. For young people, the American dream is really pretty simple. When you get out of college, you're in your mid to late 20s, you want to be financially independent, and that is now a dream that is too far scarce. Right now, we have 50% of young people in the United States of America that had to go back and live with mom and dad because of skyrocketing rents and socialized everything to where inflation has skyrocketed, and we have to bring it to a stop. It's time. When I was young, it's changed so much. When I was young and I got out of college, my apartment was about 20% of the average salary of a young person. Today, it's 40%. When I bought my first home in the mid-90s, the average home was about 3 times the amount of the average salary. Now the average home is 6 times the average salary. How did we get here? When I think back at how we got here, really what we did is we just bought lies over and over for year after year. And what's happened is we're now the party of common sense. They're trying to make common sense look radical. Well, let me ask you folks, when's the last time, and why is it that just asking the federal government to have a budget, keep a budget, and maybe cut a few expenses, when did that become radical? When did it become radical to say, hey, we want to prioritize the American worker over someone here illegally? When did that become radical? And culturally, when did it become radical to look a man in the eye and say you can no longer compete in women's sports? When did that become radical? And you can no longer use their bathroom either. When did that come radical? Things have changed, but I'm telling you right now, it's time because America's looking for something different. George, it's so great to be with you tonight because this is really home for me. I was born here in the mid-90s. I met my wife here. I was married here. I bought my first home here. I started my family here. That American dream started for me right here. Then I went on and I've owned businesses in Dallas, Texas. I'm pastor of a church in Dallas. But the biggest thing I do is I'm a husband and I'm a father of 5 kids, 14 to 24. And I'm fighting for them. I ran for the office of president with this message in mind for the next generation, that we need an economic and we need a spiritual revival in our country for them to survive, and we need that revival right now. It's time. And President Trump is carrying that banner so high for that revival, and we have to put him back into office. So young people, as you're on your college campuses and you go out to vote, you need to ask yourself a few questions and ask your friends a few questions about what you want out of our country. And I'm asking you to think about this. Do you want a country that puts America first or puts America last? Because there's only one candidate that puts America first, and that's Donald Trump. Do you want a nation that's built on socialism or that's built on capitalism? Because there's only one candidate that's voting for capitalism, and that's Donald Trump. And lastly is this, do you want God back in our country again? We need God. The Bible says to hold on to good, and abhor what is evil. And President Trump, there's one candidate that's holding on to some good. He's fighting for the right to life. He's fighting for our religious freedoms. He's fighting to stand with Israel. And if you're a parent, he's fighting for your rights in education. And I believe those are good things to hold on to. So Georgia, let's win the White House again. Let's put President Trump back where he should be. And I believe this with all my heart. When we rise up and when we win Georgia, America is going to be the strongest sounding board of freedom across this globe. It's going to be the strongest economy in the world. And it's going to be the holding place and birthplace of dreams for the next generation. So Georgia, turn red this November. Thank you, Turning Point, for focusing on the next generation. And thank you, President Trump, for fighting for us all. God bless you and God bless America.